You own shares you are happy to hold, and you have decided to sell a covered call. There is one decision left, and it is the one that moves your result the most. How far above today's price do you set the strike? Sell too close and you cap your gains for a little extra premium. Sell too far and the premium is barely worth collecting. This lesson gives you a repeatable way to make that choice using delta as your main control. Let us work through it. First, the ground everyone needs to be standing on, because the rest only makes sense once these are clear. A covered call means you own 100 shares of a stock, and you sell one call option against those shares. For selling that call, you receive a premium, cash up front, and you keep it. In return, you take on an obligation. You may have to sell your 100 shares at the strike price on or before the option expires. A few terms. The strike is the price you may have to sell at. The premium is the cash you receive. Expiration is when the option ends. Out of the money, or OTM, means the strike sits above today's share price. Assignment is when your shares are actually sold at the strike, and one number we will use throughout. Your effective sale price, if you are assigned, is the strike plus the premium you collected. Hold on to that. This whole lesson answers one question. How far above today's price should that strike be? Step back and see the decision cleanly. First, you picked a stock you are content to own. That work is done. Now you are choosing the strike, the price at which you may have to hand those shares over. The question underneath it is a trade. How much cash do you want now, and how much of the stock's future rise are you willing to give up to get it? Your strike sets four things at once: the premium you collect, the room the shares have to rise before they are called away, your exposure to assignment, and your effective sale price. One note that holds for the whole method: we work in a 7 to 30 day window to expiration, short enough to collect premium often, long enough to be worth the effort. Here is the trade-off at the center of everything. Move the strike closer to today's price and you collect more premium. You get a slightly larger cushion if the stock dips, but you raise the odds of assignment. You leave the shares less room to rise and you accept a lower effective sale price. Move the strike further above today's price and it reverses. Less premium, a smaller cushion, lower odds of assignment, more room for the shares to run, and a higher effective sale price. The rule to burn in: you cannot maximize premium and upside room at the same time. Every strike is a point on that line. One definition before we go on: at the money, or ATM, means the strike equals today's price. This lesson works with out-of-the-money calls, where the strike sits above today's price. Delta is your master dial, so let us be precise about what it is. Delta does two jobs. First, it estimates how much the option's price may move for a $1 move in the stock. A call with a 0.3 delta may rise about 30 cents if the stock rises $1, all else equal. And because you sold that call, a rise in its price counts against you, even while your shares may be gaining. Second, delta is a rough proxy for the chance the stock finishes above the strike at expiration. Rough, not a forecast, and it drifts as price, time, and volatility change. On the chain, you will read the delta shown for the call you are selling, Our band runs from 0.2 to 0.4. From 0.2 to 0.3 is the conservative end. A smaller premium and higher odds, the call expires worthless to the buyer. Around 0.3 is the balanced sweet spot. From 0.3 to 0.4 is aggressive, more premium and more assignment risk. Above 0.4 is outside the band. Across that band, the rough chance the call expires out of the money is about 60 to 80%. Say that carefully. That is the chance the call expires out of the money, not the chance the whole position makes money. The stock can still fall. You will also hear strikes described by how far out of the money they are as a percentage, so let us tie that to delta. For a call, out of the money means the strike is above today's share price. Percent out of the money is the strike minus the stock price divided by the stock price times 100. If the stock is $50 and the strike is $52.50, that is $2.50 over 50, which is 5% out of the money. Useful, but here is the catch. The same 5% is a different delta on a calm stock than on a wild one, because a 5% move is ordinary for one and a stretch for the other. So use percent out of the money for context to describe the distance. Use delta for the decision. That brings in the third force, implied volatility, or IV. IV estimates how much the stock may move in either direction, read from option prices. When IV is higher, you will generally see a wider expected range, larger premiums, and the same delta sitting further out of the money. But a larger premium is not a gift. It reflects a wider expected range, which includes more downside risk in the shares you hold. To keep this comparable across stocks, we use IV rank, which places today's IV inside its own 1 year range on a scale of 0 to 100. Our house screening guide is an IV rank between 30 and 50. Below 30, the premium is usually too thin for the risk, so wait. Between 30 and 50 is the working band. Above 50, do not just grab it. Investigate why volatility is elevated, because it often means an event is coming. Higher premium is never free income. Put delta to work and you get 3 zones to choose from, and they are choices, not quality grades. Conservative, around a 0.2 to 0.3 delta. Further out of the money, a smaller premium, more room for the shares to rise, and a lower chance of assignment. Balanced, around 0.3 delta, moderate on all of it, and the sweet spot this course leans on. Aggressive, 0.3 to 0.4. Closer in, a larger premium, less room, and a higher chance of assignment. Pick the zone from your objective first before the size of the premium pulls at you. And read this carefully, because it is where people fool themselves. These labels compare strike choices only. They do not describe the risk of owning the stock. Even a conservative strike leaves you holding almost all of the downside. The shares can still fall sharply, and the premium offsets only part of that loss. Let us make it concrete with one stock at 3 strikes. Illustrative numbers. Stock XYZ at $50, about 30 days out, IV rank 40. The aggressive choice is the 51 strike, 2% out of the money, roughly a 0.4 delta. It pays the most premium, a $1.75, a 3.5% gross yield on the $50 price, but it leaves only $1 of room and has the highest chance of assignment, around 60% expiring out of the money. The balanced choice is the $52.50 strike, 5% out, about a 0.3 delta, 1.25 of premium, a 2.5% yield, $2.50 of room, and roughly 70% expiring out of the money. The conservative choice is the 55 strike, 10% out, about a 0.2 delta, only 0.75 of premium, a 1.5% yield, which is below our target, but $5 of room and the lowest assignment odds. Now look at the effective sale price row. $52.75, $53.75, $55.75. That is strike plus premium, the price you actually walk away at if assigned. Same shares, same expiration, 3 different priorities. 2 quick notes on the math. Gross premium yield is premium divided by the $50 price before fees and tax. And break even assumes you bought at 50. If you already own the shares, use your own cost instead. Your read on the stock nudges which zone you lean toward, though it never predicts what the stock will do. Neutral to mildly bullish, you might lean closer in, a 0.3 to 0.4 delta, to prioritize premium and a little more cushion. No strong view, sit around 0.3. Genuinely bullish, lean further out, 0.2 to 0.3 to keep more upside, or consider not selling a call at all so you do not cap the run. There is a more defensive alternative worth naming, and in the money call where the strike is below today's price, pays more premium and offsets more of a small dip, but it caps more upside, makes assignment more likely, and it will not protect you against a large fall. That sits outside this lesson, and the line that overrides all of it, only sell a strike at or above a price where you would generally be happy to sell the shares. Now anchor the choice to income without letting income drag you into a bad strike. Our house screen is a premium of 2 to 4% of the share price for about a 30-day call. That is a screening target, not an expected return, and never a guarantee. Order matters here. First, find the strikes inside the 0.2 to 0.4 delta band. Second, remove any strike below a price you would be happy to sell at. Third, check what premium is left against the target. Fourth, if nothing pays enough, wait. Do not slide the strike closer just to hit the number. Do not sell above a 0.4 delta. Do not treat the target as a promise. And do not take one good cycle and project it into a yearly return. Choosing not to sell a call is a valid decision, and often the disciplined one. 5 mistakes to avoid because they are the ones that cost you real money. 1. Selling too close for the extra premium today, which quietly buys you less room and more assignment risk. 2. Chasing premium above a 0.4 delta. The premium looks generous because you are taking on more risk to get it. 3. Using a fixed percent out of the money as if it means the same thing on every stock. It does not, because volatility changes what the distance is worth. 4. Ignoring IV rank. Below 30, under our house rule, the premium may simply be too thin for the risk. And 5. Accepting a strike below a price you would actually be happy to sell at. Remember, your rule exit is the effective sale price, strike, plus premium. Here is the repeatable test the 7 checks to run on a strike before you sell it. Use it only after you have already checked the stock itself, your position size, whether the option trades easily at a fair price, and the earnings date. 1. Sale price. Would I generally sell my shares at this strike? 2. Expiry. Is the call inside 7 to 30 days? 3. IV rank. Is it between 30 and 50? And if it is below 30, wait. 4. Delta. Is the shown delta between 0.2 and 0.4? 5. Posture. Conservative, balanced, or aggressive, and does that match my view? 6. Income. Does the premium support the 2 to 4% target? 7. Assignment. Am I actually prepared for it, for my 100 shares to be sold at the strike? If any check turns up a mismatch, reconsider the trade. If you remember 4 things, remember these. Delta first. Work inside 0.2 to 0.4 with about 0.3 as the balanced middle. Distance needs context. Percent out of the money means little without delta and implied volatility next to it. Premium has a cost. More premium usually means less upside room and a higher chance of assignment. And never force the trade. If the strike, the premium, or the sale price is wrong, you wait. One forward pointer handled in its own lesson. After you are in the trade, if the call's shown delta climbs above 0.8, review the position. Do not automatically roll it, meaning close it and sell another. Management is its own topic. So, put it to work. Open your broker's paper trading options chain, the table of expirations, strikes, premiums, and deltas. Pick an expiry inside 7 to 30 days. Compare the calls near a 0.2, a 0.3, and a 0.4 delta. Write down the strike, the premium, the percent out of the money, and the effective sale price for each. Then write 1 sentence explaining your choice. A disciplined answer sounds like this. I chose the call nearest a 0.3 delta because it balances premium and upside room, and I would happily sell my shares at that strike. Practice it in a paper account before you risk real money. The full course takes it further. I am the options overlord. Educate, discipline, execute.